Good morning all the viewers. Now we will switch over to the next capability of the leaders, the authentic leaders. Now just now we have discussed about that how the authentic leaders must develop certain relational capabilities to maintain his interpersonal relationship, intrapersonal relationship, human relationship, and nurture the future generation authentic leaders. So the authentic leaders are not supposed to define themselves as the authentic leaders, but rather to groom, to nurture, to develop the future generation of authentic leaders by playing as a role model, by being a role model for others. Now, in this context, I am just showing you one YouTube video where you can also get so many ideas also. Just a minute. So, these are the some of the relational capabilities we have already discussed, and whatever we have seen in the videos also, how we have to be very transparent in our relationship, how we have to be very, we have to internalize some of the moral values, moral perspective. We have to be very self aware, and we have to balance the information and process these informations in a very effective manner. Then we must have a deep sense of purpose, goal. We must offer all kinds of gratitude, then we must offer the love, empathy, affection to our colleagues, to our staff, to our students. So you have to be very generous, very down to earth, very positive, very optimistic kind of human being. After that means you have to exhibit that yes, you are a good human being. So in order to become a very good leader, or effective leader, or effective teacher, or authentic leader, first of all we have to become a very good human being. So next thing is that when he has to develop certain professional capabilities also, like the leader, the authentic leader, as he is supposed to deal with so many problems, issues, challenges, etc. He has to be very professional in his capabilities, in his ability to resolve the conflicts and resolve the different kinds of problems. First is that it is contextually aware and responsive. As we have already discussed, the leader must be very much present in the reality, very much authentic in the reality, in the sense that he is well apprised of what is going on, the reality, what is the reality, what are the issues in the present context, what are the issues with the students, with the teachers, with the colleagues, with the authority, with the the society, with the immediate community. So he has to be very contextually present, aware of the situation, and responsive. That means he must respond to, he must react to, not doesn't mean that he has to be negative all the time. He has to emote, he has to react, he has to respond to the different situations. So that is, he is contextually aware, present. He must show his spontaneity and responsiveness. Second is he inspires a collegial purpose and vision. So whatever the vision he has set for himself, for the institution, for the country, for the community, for the society, in that line he has to inspire others also, because he himself alone cannot achieve all these things. So in that line of vision, mission, and the goals, etc., he has to inspire his teachers, students, and the colleagues, etc., and inspire as well as inspire for the collegial purpose, for the high academic achievement purpose, for the high professional excellence purpose. So collegial purpose and vision. So it's not just about making our institution a world class #1 institution, but at the same time we must have a positive work environment, academic atmosphere, healthy interpersonal relationship, professional excellence, commitment, commitment, then good communication, trust, authenticity, empathy, everything, all the positive concept, positive emotions, positive connotations are there in the work atmosphere, in the work environment. And he must also inspire the students, the teachers, and all his colleagues in that line. Next is that it displays the curriculum and pedagogical know-hows. That means even though he is busy in so many works, so many workloads, and so many other new innovative ideas and issues and changes, etc., but still then he is very much updated, very much updated with regard to world class curriculum, latest pedagogy and know-hows, pedagogical know-hows, like what are the latest methods of pedagogy for the school education, for the higher education, for the university education, collaborative learning, experiential learning, problem based learning, virtual learning, all kinds of know-hows, pedagogical know-hows, and he displays it. He encourages, with that line he encourages his teachers and the colleagues, etc., to implement, to execute, to examine, to practice such innovative practices. Then next comes your focus is on the educational outcomes and accountability. So every moment he himself asks himself and also encourages others to ask themselves, like what I am doing, what I am supposed to deliver, what would be its result, what would be the outcomes, and which way I will be answerable, I am accountable to other society, and which way I can justify my actions, I can justify my thoughts, I can justify my behaviors, I can justify my teaching, so I can justify my performance. So every now and then he focuses on the educational outcomes, what is the result, how much fruitful, how much successful, how much positive and constructive the results are, or the educational outcomes are, and to what extent I am accountable to the society. So, suppose instantly any kind of problem, the issues emerges from the community, from the parents, from the students. So, he is he is well capable, well equipped with his apt with dealing with these kind of situations, critical situation conditions, because he is accountable to all the stakeholders. In business language we say that it is customers, but in education is the stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? The whole society, the community, the parents, the students, the authority, everywhere, everybody, every human being is our stakeholder. So, every moment he should focus on the educational outcomes, and the outcome must be very positive, constructive, and accountability, his own accountability. He must map, he must rate, he must rank all his accountability every now and then. Next, he engages in and supports the professional learning. He engages in and supports the professional learning. So, it is not that acquisition of knowledge and skills are important, but you have to deliver it, you have to perform it, you have to give it back to the society, to the students, to the stakeholders in a very professional manner. That must reflect your professional commitment. Your sincerity, that means your willingness, your willingness to share your knowledge, your willingness to mentor others, your willingness to cooperate, collaborate with the community, your willingness to uplift the quality of life of the society, of the community you are living, or the surroundings you are situated in. So, all the time engages in and supports in the professional learning, not only to acquire the knowledge and update your knowledge, but also how to improve our professionalism, professional skills, competencies and capabilities, so that we can deliver it in a very professional manner, effective manner, which can have a very positive impact on all the stakeholders and which can improve their performance or quality of life. So, he also encourages, he should also encourage his fellow colleagues, fellow teachers, students, and even staff also, administrative staff also, for updating their knowledge and professional competency by attending, by being a part of the different kinds of professional bodies and going through the different kinds of professional training programs, etc. So, therefore, he should also motivate them for professional learning. Then at the end, that means it is not the last thing, but he should demonstrate the professional commitment. He himself has to demonstrate that professional commitment, because it reflects in his behavior, like how much he loves his profession, how much not only competent and capable he is, but he is very much dedicated and committed to his profession. That professional commitment should be demonstrated from his behavior, from his action, from his thoughts, from every movements, from every movements of every moments in his life, in the time he spends in the workplace. So, here these are some of the professional capabilities. That means he not only he possesses a high moral character, and he has a very good understanding of every issue, any critical issue, any problem, any situation, etc. But again, he also has a high level of confidence, courage, and willingness and commitment to resolve all kinds of the problems, etc., and go ahead, move ahead in achieving the high level of vision and mission and goals he has set for himself, and for the institution, and for his colleagues, and for the future generation leaders. Now, in this context, I also want to show you another YouTube video.
Believe that an authentic, well, look at the word authentic. Authentic means genuine. If you look at synonyms, I believe that an authentic leader is someone that is truly genuine, that really cares about the people they work with, and they supervise, that is what Mel Robbins would call sympathetic, and what counselors, Willow May, etc., would call empathetic. I believe that an authentic person doesn't play games. An authentic leader really listens to you and really tries to do the best he or she can. Of granted, when you're in an administrative position, you can't always tell everybody everything. You can't always make things as crystal clear as you might like to, but I think in most cases you can. And I also think if there's any kind of dispute or kind of disagreement, that you should always bring the parties together and discuss those things. And I think those are the kinds of things an authentic leader does. Well, as I've mentioned before, I believe care does. But probably one of the most important, I think, is integrity. People have to know that you'll stand by your word and that you're consistent and that what you say will happen, that it will go. I think that also falls in with honesty, truthfulness, trust. I think all those things are so important in a moral leader and in an authentic leader. I believe that authentic leadership is intrinsic to my area of research. Joan Shapiro and I wrote a book a number of years ago, it's now in its third edition, about ethical decision making. And I think the kind of qualities that we talk about fit right in with authentic leadership. For instance, we really believe in inquiry and really developing your own and analyzing your own personal codes of ethics and your own professional codes of ethics and comparing those to other people in the class and also comparing those to other professionals and to what the professional associations say is ethical. And I think all those things, all that introspection, being able to do that and also being able to really look into yourself and apply those principles to solving moral dilemmas and ethical dilemmas really lend themselves to ethical leadership and authentic leadership. So I guess what I would say is that everything in authentic leadership is intrinsic to our research.
Capabilities they have to develop. First of all, they have to develop such a HR framework where people are the most important assets, because he is dealing with different kinds of resources, but HR resource he must take into account that HR human resource or HR aspect is the most important, most vital, most valuable asset in our organizations, and how to engage them, how to build trust among them, how to win their trust, how to engage them, how to motivate them. So these are the significant challenges, and for that matter he has to develop certain strategies, capabilities and strategies. Like for example, the first one is engages in strategic thinking. All the time he has to plan, design, execute, implement the ideas and thoughts and etc., but in a very strategic way. That means prior to implementing anything he has to think 1,000 times and in a strategic way, ifs and buts, pros and cons, and the strengths and weaknesses, the consequences, the all kinds of analysis he has to make and engage himself in the strategic thinking before executing any new plan. Second is that develops the organizational capacity to respond to contemporary and future expectations of the key stakeholders. As you know, we have already discussed that everybody in the society is a stakeholder for the education, stakeholder of the educational institutions. Hence, he has to develop, he has to build up the capacity of all those who are directly or indirectly involved in that organization. So he has to develop, he has to groom, he has to nurture all the staff, all the employee, enhance their performance, enhance their capacities, and they enhance their competency in such a way that so they not only respond to the present situation, they not only be capable of dealing with the contemporary issues, contemporary challenges, etc., but also what the future expectations, future situation will be. Like stakeholders, they have their they have their own expectations from the organizations. So, similarly, so he has to equip, he has to develop, groom and nurture his staff, his students, his fellow teachers in such a way that they not only built up the capacity to deal with the contemporary world, contemporary issue, but also they can fulfill the future expectations of the stakeholders. Future expectation of the stakeholders. So, so that is why he has to develop HR framework. HR framework, in that framework he has a very significant, very important and very well thought of action plans or ideas or the principles, etc., for exercising, for mobilizing, for engaging each and every human resource in his organizations. So, so he builds a sharing organizational culture. He builds a sharing organizational culture that focuses energies and talents on achieving high quality outcomes. Definitely his goal, target, vision and mission is to achieve the highest professional excellence, high quality outcome, high level of students performance and learning outcomes, high quality of the teachers professional capabilities, excellence, and high quality of the self efficacy of his supporting staff, colleagues, etc. So, in order to build that organizational culture, he has to focus the energies in a very strategic way. Whatever that means, he designs, he thinks for whichever person, for whichever, be it the workplace, workplace infrastructure or design or action plan or academic calendar or whatever, he has to design it very strategically. Strategically, that means how strategically all kinds of resources can be utilized in the most effective way, so that no time will be wasted, no human resource will be wasted, so no space will be wasted. Even technology, how strategically we can use technology for our own benefit. So, rather than becoming a victim of the technology, how strategically we can use it as a tool for our welfare, for our benefit, and maximize it. So, at the end of any action, any program, any project, so that is why they need to speculate, they need to analyze, they need to evaluate, they need to reflect upon the whole action plans which has been executed. So, being reflective, being evaluative, being critical towards your own projects, assignments, works, etc. How to build a organizational culture which is more of sharing kind of thing, like it focuses on the energies, multiple energies, different energies from different sources, but there is a culture encourages the sharing the knowledge, sharing the effort, sharing the time, sharing the ideas, sharing the thoughts, sharing the conflict, sharing the worries, sharing the the celebration, sharing the success, sharing the failure, all kinds of. So, sharing culture, organizational culture that focuses the energies and talents on achieving the high quality outcomes. If we stay together, if we share everything, we learn together, we face the challenges together, then automatically it enhances the capabilities of everybody in the situations to face any kind of challenge. So, ultimately it enable us to achieve the high quality outcome. So, next comes the constructs the creative designs for the use of people, time, space and technology. As we have already discussed, for all kinds of resources, for utilizing the human resource, time resource, financial resource, technology resource, then community resource. So, whatever resources are available, so how to utilize it effectively, use it most effectively in a constructive way, in a positive way, by maintaining the healthy relationship and maintaining the sustainability, so that these resources will not fade away in future. So, maintaining the sustainability. So, he has to design in a very creative way how to utilize these all kinds of resources in a very effective way and a very sustainable way. So, then models the cultural sensitivity. Now, if the organization is large and we have the many students, we have the big campus, we have the many teachers, we have the many staff and colleagues, suppose the all total, suppose it is 10,000 above or 15,000 above, then we have to, so definitely we will be a diverse workforce, diverse community, etc. So, how to deal with this diversity, how to deal with diverse diverse people, diverse, having the different background, different culture, different ethnicity, different language, different experience, etc. So, for that matter you have to be very culturally sensitive. That means you have to be culturally you can say empathetic. You have to be less ethnocentric and more empathetic. That is the ideal ideal principle of being the culturally socio-culturally intelligent. So, models for cultural sensitivity, that means not only we are sensitive towards the others culture, rather we are empathetic. We are empathetic towards their language, their religious practices, towards their ethnic background, etc. So, that he has to demonstrate that that he is the role model of having a socio-cultural intelligence, and he is how culturally empathetic he is, how sensible he is, and he has to demonstrate the managerial aptitude. As we have already discussed, is that educational leadership is much more beyond than managing the things or compliancing the management, but he has to demonstrate. But it's again, managerial aptitude is also required in managing the different resources, managing the workplace, etc. So, he has to demonstrate the managerial aptitude as well, but authentic educational leadership is much beyond. So, that is why so as according to Peter Drucker, we need to or every educational leader, every authentic leader need to ask different questions, 5 basic questions we can say, like what is our mission. Every authentic leader must ask these 5 questions to themselves. That is, what is our mission, who is our stakeholders, like in as because we are the service oriented organization, so we must take into account the stakeholders perspective. So, who is our stakeholders and how do they value us, how do they rate you, how do they value, how much value importance they assign us or assign you, like yes, you are delivering these things and you are improving their quality of life, this and that. So, how do they value you? Then what are your results, how much you have delivered, what are your past performances, what are your learning outcomes. So, what are your results and outcomes, and moreover, what is your future plan? Being in the present, being evaluative about, being critical about your performance and the stakeholders' expectation, meeting their expectation, mapping your performance and results, etc. Then again, what is your future plan? So, every authentic leader has to have these kind of the answers to these kind of 5 questions. So, every moment, every now and then he must ask these 5 questions to himself, then definitely he can proceed, he can land off, he can achieve his success, his professional success and organizational success, institutional success, and he can be very good, very authentic, very successful leader, and he can also inspire the future generation leaders. Now, in this context, I also want to show you another video. So, moreover, prior to that we now the thing is that how to groom this authentic leadership. Now, here we can apply these 5 strategies, 5 techniques we can say. First thing is that we can encourage our teachers, our students, etc. to take up the different learning projects. The learning projects can be based on any kind of problems, social problems, or financial problems, technical problems we have taken up, and we try to solve that problems. So, through the learning projects, then face to face, to engage them through face to face interactive session. So, all kinds of different teams and groups, they can sit together comprising heterogeneous people, students, teachers, staff, and from other even from the outsiders also, from other organizations. So, they can have a face to face interactive sessions, they can have a discussion, interaction with the experts, etc. That can be another part. Then analysis of the complex cases. Sometimes they can take up some of the case studies, some of the complex issues in the past or the present or from some other sources. They can take up these complex cases and try to analyze it and resolve it in a more positive win-win way, win-win solutions. Then sometimes they can also develop the leadership development portfolio. Every teacher, every student, every learner, every staff, they will be asked to develop their own profile, like how do they visualize, how do they see themselves as the future leaders, and for that matter they should develop the portfolios, their own portfolios. Similarly, we can also encourage them for analyzing the life stories, experiences they have encountered in the past. Okay. So, but ultimately the dialogue, the conversation, the communication should merge towards the sustainable leadership with moral purpose and integrity. So, ultimately our focus is that whatever we do, whatever we achieve, whatever we perform, and whatever we we contribute, it must be sustainable, it must be for lifelong, it must be continuous, it must be for the future generation, on and on and on. Now, in this context I am just showing you the video, the last video, YouTube video.
The importance of leadership has been known for thousands of years. You can go back to the Roman Empire to see examples of this. In the modern world of business, the two most frequent descriptors of leadership I have come across are authentic and inspirational. And naturally, the two are not mutually exclusive. I'd like to talk a little bit about authentic leadership. The English dictionary describes them as genuine, trustworthy, reliable. Now, people are different. Everyone has their own style, their own characteristics, and it is often very difficult to describe what authentic really is. But you know it when you see it. You know an authentic leader when you see that person. There are many descriptors, and I've put a few out here that are important to me. But I think it's important that everyone thinks about what authentic leadership means to them, so that they can grow these types of skills and be seen to be authentic leaders. I think there is a common language of authentic leadership. It is inclusive. It is about learning and sharing. It is about challenging, but challenging and supportive. It's about developing, and of course it is about selflessly recognizing what other people do and what other people contribute. I think it is very easy for you to identify authentic leaders in your world. Watch them and learn from them, and take the time to think about this and develop your own authentic style with your own authentic language.
Now, this is the end of our first module, that is education, leadership and management, and how to groom an authentic leader, what is authentic pedagogy, how to create authentic learning environment, and the new that means learning culture of sharing the knowledge, disseminating the knowledge, and learn for the lifelong, that is sustainable education, sustainable learning and sustainable leadership. Now, thank you very much. I complete this first module here.